This is a really difficult question.
Oh, that's a great question.
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a great question.
That's a really good question.
I love this question, and I think this really is going to help me kind of meditate and grow on it.
Want to hear the answers? Check out Season 2 of New Media Lab with Robert Southgate. New episodes every Tuesday. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and wherever you subscribe to your favorite podcasts.
Hey everybody, this is Diane. Welcome to Biters.
And this is Marnell, and there is more than one way to skin a walker.
That was one of my favorite scenes.
It was a pretty cool scene.
It was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, because you know me, I'm all about the field dressing of large mammals.
I don't know. I think the last time we talked about field dressing mammals on the show, we actually talked about you taking a class to field dress small mammals.
Yeah, and that is shockingly, disturbingly easy. You basically just like cut a slit in them, especially if they're warm, which is disgusting sounding. But hey, your food comes from somewhere. And you hold them by the feet and you just like rip all the skin off. It's super easy. It's disturbing.
As opposed to holding them by the neck and ripping all of the skin off.
And having to work at it with a knife and... That's just too much work.
It helps that Ryan Hurst is unusually tall.
6'4".
6'4" and 3/4 inches. I saw it on his IMDb.
I'm like, that's a short person's trick. I am. I'm like 4'11" and 3/4.
He's Ryan Hurst, the badass. He can get away with whatever he wants.
Oh, man. I love him.
I know you do. I'm looking forward to hearing you talk about him.
Yeah. I could talk for days. I think probably he and Jason Momoa are like my cheat celebrities.
That is so funny.
And they they have so much in common. Just look at them. They're just these huge men with a ton of hair, just facial hair, head hair. Oh,
I was listening to an episode of Capes and Lunatics, and Charlie the Professor Esser was talking about hair pica, and I was like, "Ooh."
Oh, for those of you who don't know, pica is the disorder where you eat non-food items, and it's crazy. Disturbing. It's crazy that I know that, right? I'm a non-medical professional, and I know what pica is. My friend actually had I think it was like gestational pica or something. She had a craving for road tar. I'm not kidding.
Oh my God.
She's like, the smell of it just made my mouth water. And coffee grounds. Not coffee grounds.
That's disgusting.
And she's like, it was only when I was pregnant.
Did she indulge in either one?
She indulged in the coffee grounds and she tried a little bit of the tar, but was like, no, that's just too weird.
That's really bizarre.
Yeah. But hair pica, people wind up with giant masses of hair stuck in their intestines and stuff. So that's super dangerous.
This episode sponsored by the Mutter Museum.
It's like an episode of My Strange Addiction. I love that show.
I haven't heard that show. That sounds like a good show. It sounds like a My Favorite Murder kind of show.
People are insane. There's people who are addicted to eating Comet Cleanser, the stuffing in couch cushions, toilet paper, and then there's totally normal things to be addicted to, like Coca-Cola, but like that's all she basically consumes, and it's literally like a cart full of Coca-Cola, the amount of sugar that, and of course it's eating her insides. She's not going to make it past 30.
This episode sponsored by Abnormal Psych 307. You should take it this semester.
Oh, so much good television. In fact, I don't even think it's on anymore. I think they actually I don't think they ran out of Strange Addictions because face it, we're like humans are crazy. But yeah, I love that show. It was on the same channel as like Hoarders and Intervention. A&E, I think.
I was going to say, I think that's A&E.
Yeah. Not TLC.
But we're here to talk. We're here to talk about AMC, not A&E, and not TLC. And we're already off the map.
Completely. So much fun, though. This is what happens when we podcast early or late.
Right? There's a little bit of like extra energy.
Yeah.
To be spent talking about Pica. Charlie Esser.
It's a super interesting topic. Don't get me started. Wait, you got me started.
With 2 E's in the middle for quality. Bing!
Oh, he's so funny. We are doing a movie club review of Captain Marvel.
We should mention that. So it'll be recorded on Sunday and probably up for viewing on YouTube and for listening on Capes and Lunatics on Monday.
I think they can live stream it on YouTube from the Capes and Lunatics while we're doing it. You can watch us mess up live.
There you go. You can be super cool and stream Capes and Lunatics. Not like me listening to it in the car.
I gotta find a vat for my wine.
I thought you were just going to take a wine box and put a straw in it.
I did that last time. So for those of you who have never watched Movie Club, it's a visual one. We do it on YouTube so you can see our beautiful faces. And I have kind of this running gag. When I first started, I had my usual glass of wine with me. And then the next time I had a larger glass of wine. And it was like by happenstance. And then the next time I was like, oh, haha, wouldn't it be funny if I had a larger glass of wine? And then the next time I had like one of those vases you get from Joann's Fabrics that looks like a wine glass, but you're really supposed to put other stuff in it, but I put wine in it. And then I was just like, screw it. I'll just put a straw in a box of wine. And now I'm just like, I need a kiddie pool so I can fill it with wine. I need a wide angle camera for my wine habit.
There you go. That's next on your wish list. You got a good microphone. Now you need a wide angle camera.
So you can watch us on the Capes and Lunatics YouTube channel. We do movie reviews of Marvel movies. Have we done DC movies?
Yeah, we do. Aquaman was a DC movie.
Oh, that's right. We do superhero movies.
I suspect we're probably going to have the opportunity to participate in a Shazam podcast as well.
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Husby was like, I don't really want to go, but we'll see if he changes his mind as he gets closer.
I'm so super stoked about Captain Marvel, though, for 3 reasons. It's because, Captain Marvel, and she's probably going to save the day with the rest of our superheroes. 2, she's Captain Marvel, and she's a kick-ass girl. And 3, whenever you put my name into a Word document, it tries to autocorrect to Marvel.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm secretly Captain Marvel.
I always knew you were special.
According to Microsoft, anyway. All right.
Well, Captain Marvel, should we get back to Guardians?
I think so.
Not Guardians of the Galaxy, just Guardians.
That worked out well.
Mm-hmm. I planned it. That whole segue, I had it planned completely.
Well done.
I'm totally lying.
So, I liked it.
I probably didn't rate it quite as high as you did then.
I don't think I rated it as highly as you think I did because there's one thing that is irritating me and we will get to that. But I gave it, I had to write this down, 3.95 pantalones with super stretchy waistbands for your ever-expanding breadbasket.
You and I had exactly the same rating system.
I love it!
Because it was just too good to pass up.
I had to rewind 3 times to write the whole thing down. It was great. What was your rating?
I gave it a 3.5125 out of 5 pantalones.
I had to do the whole thing. I was going to stop at pantalones.
No, I was going to do the whole thing too, but you already read
Yeah.
it for me, so I didn't need to say it again.
Yeah, I just that whole conversation with the charts and the rubric and everything. He's grown on me.
Did you notice the fan who asked the question on The Talking Dead got the charts?
Yes,
as well as the pantalones with the super stretchy waistband.
So I said on my first go around watch, I was like, oh, the audience fan who asked the questions better get those charts. And he did. I was so excited. And they're all signed.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I would be in the audience Googling the closest framing shop. Right? Like, I wouldn't want any rips, any moisture, nothing. Those are going straight to a framing shop. And then eBay. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're terrible.
I would never do that. Those would hang in my house until my nieces and nephews fought over them to sell them on eBay.
They
when
would
I
look
died.
mighty good in my podcasting room.
They would. I might have to put them on loan at the Museum of Dead at Diane's house.
Oh, I like that. That works for me. We'll have to mug that guy and steal them.
Right?
All right. So I rated it a little lower than you for once.
You did.
And it was because it was, for me, even more middle booky than the last 2 have been.
But I feel like we're building.
See, I didn't get there. I didn't get there with it.
Okay.
So it's your job to talk me off the ledge.
I don't think I'm going to talk you off the ledge this time, but it's a slow boil. We're getting there. We have 4 episodes left?
Right. This is season 9, episode 12. So we've got 4 episodes left in this season. I can't believe it.
Crazy.
It seems like it's gone so fast.
It has.
The second half of the season is just flying by.
It is.
Which is a weird thing to say when I say that the last 3 episodes have been middle booky for me.
I think they're supposed to be. So the next episode is Choke Point. So I think that's going to be part of that slow build that we're building up to the season finale. And then the episode that we are all dying to get to. Scars. Yeah. So do you have numbers? Are we doing...
I've got some numbers.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned last week, it had ratings low for the series. It was 4.386 million views overall. But it was still number 1 in cable for last week in the overall group.
For Bounty.
Yeah. And in the 18 to 49 group, Bounty tied for the number 1 spot with a college basketball championship game.
Oh, that's understandable.
It did add 2.2 million overall in Live Plus 3 and 0.9 million in the 18 to 49 group in Live Plus 3. So the ratings got better.
This was the one that was up against, I want to say the Oscars.
Last week was up against the Oscars. Bounty was.
Yeah, Bounty was. So that's pretty good for being up against the Oscars. And the Oscars had a pretty good rating.
Yeah, I did look to see what the numbers for the Oscars were. And it was on broadcast, not on cable. So it would show up on a different rubric than this. So I didn't compare.
Nice word usage.
Thank you.
Because, it was in the episode, and I actually had to look it up. I felt dumb.
The word rubric was in the episode. It must have been when Eugene was talking about the charts.
It was. He had a scoring rubric.
Very good.
I had a little bit of an idea what it was, but I looked it up just to make sure so I didn't sound too stupid. But I absolutely loved on Talking Dead when they were talking about how he's probably the dungeon master in some Alexandrian basement D&D sesh.
He's totally the gaming dude.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah. And he has said it before. He said that that's in his skill set.
So, and I don't know why I flashed on this immediately when they said that on Talking Dead, but there's a scene at the end of, I think, the first Avengers movie after they get done fighting the aliens and they're all like hanging out in this diner. You've got like Thor and Iron Man and Black Widow and everybody just like binging on food after this like epic battle with the aliens. And for some reason, I flashed on a bunch of Alexandrians sitting around a table doing a D&D session. And Daryl was there, and it was the funniest thing. I literally, like, I had that moment where you, like, something appears in your head and you laugh out loud and people think you're insane.
All right, Daryl would totally play a paladin.
I don't know why I could see him partaking.
That would be really funny.
It would be. I think they need to do that for just a little side thing, even if it's just for a Facebook or a Talking Dead segment or something.
All right, get on that, Greg Nicotero. We know you're listening.
We know you're listening.
So the title, Guardians. Tell me what you got. Because I got a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay, me too. So I picked on my second watch. I picked up upon there were some parallel storylines between Alpha and Michonne in this episode.
That was one of the things that I had, that they were acting as the guardians of their daughters.
Right, and the guardians of their communities. They're the ones that keep everyone.
Point.
They're the ones that keep everyone alive and everyone safe and everyone fed. And both of them, you know, were having trouble reconciling not being the guardians in some way, whether it was, you know, the council trying to go against Michonne or people challenging Alpha. And, you know, so that's what I took from it.
God, maybe you've got it just right there. Maybe it was just about, the title was just about the two of them.
I think so.
I mean, I kind of listed some other things, like Daryl was acting as Henry's guardian. Henry was acting as Lydia's guardian. Eugene was acting as Rosita's guardian.
Oh, my goodness. But I didn't even pick up on those. I was so hyper-focused on Alpha and Michonne.
Well, but I really think you nailed that. And I think it was not just them parenting, but them acting as guardians of their communities and being challenged in different ways. I think you're right on that. Yeah.
And if you even go that far, Beta is sort of Alpha's guardian, you know.
Yes,
there was the scene when she asked him to take off her mask and she was, you know, over the water bowl, and for some reason I flashed on, like, it somehow reminded me of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster. And I just, you know, he looks after her. Anyone challenges her and, you know, he's got a knife to their throat and he does her bidding, and he's the one who caught Henry, caught on that he was, you know, watching the group and everything. So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of Guardian themes in this episode.
So you mentioned it. I have to say it. It was deeply disturbing to me to think about being stuck in a mask that you're reliant on someone else to help you get out of.
Suffocating.
It was deeply disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if they're like laced in, or it almost looks like
they're laced in.
Yeah, and there was a couple where maybe it looks like the hair is braided in instead of
Lydia
the lacing.
grabbed the string off of that yo-yo that she found. I thought, oh, she's getting lacing for her mask.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, crazy.
So lots of Guardians in this episode.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry, I talked over you.
So our featured cast member, Ryan Hurst, he was actually asked how he Beta never takes his mask off. And I love his mask because his beard sticks out of the bottom. And that just makes it like a slightly more creepy. And his mask is so Freddy Krueger-ish to me. And Freddy Krueger is like my absolute nightmare. Like I'm 39 years old and I still, if I have a nightmare about Freddy Krueger, I still have to like get out of bed and turn the light on and like watch an infomercial or something. Like it's still for some reason, because you can't escape your dreams. But he was asked about having to wear his zombie mask and never take it off in 110-degree heat while filming. And he said that Nicotero is actually such a master at his craft that he designed the mask that it's so comfortable that he's totally fine wearing it in 110-degree heat all day, every day.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, he's been in multiple shows where he's had to wear like heavy leather costumes. He was in Sons of Anarchy. We're getting a little into the cast stuff, but he was in Sons of Anarchy and he had to wear like, leathers in hot climates and stuff. And so he's kind of used to that. But yeah, he said that the masks are actually fairly comfortable.
Huh. That's really surprising.
It definitely is. I don't know if they're all designed that way or if just the ones where people like Alpha and Beta and maybe Lydia's or something, people who are on screen a lot, and then everyone else gets the generic masks that
you're stuck in for a few takes, not the entire show.
Right?
Well, quickly before we go into featured cast more in depth, just a quick thing about the writer. Our director was Michael Satrazemis, so I'm not going to belabor that.
Right.
Our writer was a first-time Walking Dead writer named LaToya Morgan.
LaToya Morgan, yes.
So she has done multiple episodes of Into the Badlands, which is her connection to AMC.
And then Turn also, right?
I was going to say she's also written for Turn. I don't think Turn is an AMC property.
Oh, I feel like it is. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
But definitely Into the Badlands.
Yeah. Which is ending this season. So if you're an Into the Badlands fan, it's time to get your Into the Badlands on.
Yeah, I watched like the first 3 episodes and just couldn't get into it.
Oh, I think you're right. Actually, you're right. AMC Turn is an AMC property.
Okay.
There you go. Good on ya. So she has 2 big connections to AMC, not just her finally being on The Walking Dead.
So it's on the list. It's way down there, but it is definitely on the list. There's some actors and actresses that are in it that I'm a fan of. So from other things.
I think Laurie Holden has been in Turn, hasn't she?
I feel like maybe yes.
I gotta Google it again.
There's like 40 episodes. Yeah, it's been on the list.
So let's see. I'm looking on her IMDb. Of course, we all know her as Andrea.
Right. Nope, she's not.
Huh. For some reason, I thought she had been in Turn.
Nope.
Maybe she's been in The Americans, which I think of in the same brain as Turn for some reason.
Spies.
Maybe that's it.
I think that's it.
So LaToya Morgan has also written for Parenthood and Shameless, both of which I recognize as series, but I haven't watched them.
Right. Me too.
She's also got producer credits for Into the Badlands and Turn, so she's done quite a bit of work on both of those series.
Yeah, so she's new to The Walking Dead, but definitely not new to the writing and producing for AMC.
Yeah, and just because I'm not an Into the Badlands fan doesn't mean that I don't respect what she does.
No, it was it was a great show. It's just, it didn't speak to me. It's like country music is great, but it doesn't speak to me. So I'm not a country music fan. I don't dislike country music in any way. I don't dislike any of the people who listen to country music. It's just not my thing.
I kind of got the feeling that it was trying to step into the Game of Thrones audience, and it just didn't go there as far as I was concerned. It just didn't have the level of quality, and I'm not even a Game of Thrones fan.
See, and I saw it as more of a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of. Yeah.
But needless to say, neither one of us has put Into the Badlands up on the list.
Nope. No.
Which, by the way, girl, my Buffy and Angel DVDs are finally here, so I'm going to start working away at that list.
Oh, and we were just watching season 2, episode 1 of a show called Fleabag, and it's a British show.
Did you get BritBox?
I did not get BritBox.
Ah, okay. I was just curious.
But they're just like half an hour episodes. They're 24 minutes long, and it's super cheeky. It's like hysterically funny and sometimes gut-wrenchingly sad and honest, but it's totally real to life. And it does something really well that is hard to do really well, and that's break the fourth wall.
Oh, cool.
The main actress totally engages with the audience all the time, and it's done so well. I absolutely love the show.
What did you say it was called?
Fleabag.
And where are you watching it?
We watched on Amazon.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I season 1 might still be free. I don't know.
So I totally have all these random notes on my phone, and now I've added Fleabag on Amazon to the list of random notes. So 6 months from now, I'm going to look back at that and say, what the heck is that?
Right? So IMDb actually has a super cool function on at least the phone app. You can add stuff to your list, to your watch list.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a good argument for downloading their phone app for me.
Oh, you don't have it?
No, I always look it up on my computer.
You're so crazy.
I know.
You iPhone people.
I know. I love my iPhone. You're going to pry my iPhone out of my cold, dead fingers.
It's too late to switch.
It is too late to switch.
It is all too late for all of us to switch. If you're an Android person, you can't make the jump to iPhone and vice versa. Like, it's too late.
I totally agree.
We're all going to die with our choices.
Yes.
Oh.
All right. So talk to me about giant 6'4", 3¼ inch tall hairy men.
Ryan Hurst. Okay. So he's been in a ton of stuff that I have seen before, but I really, really took notice of him as Opie in Sons of Anarchy.
Which is on the list, but not watched.
I've watched the whole thing. It's one of those where like you can go, but like 5 years from now, you can still go back and it'll hold up. So it can stay, fairly down on the list. And in 5 years, when you get to it, it's still gonna be a great show. He's also, I watched like the first few seasons of Bates Motel, and I think he was just becoming a larger character on Bates Motel when I fell out of watching it. So I need to go back and start watching it again. But he has been in a ton of stuff, and I was super shocked to learn that his first acting credit is Saved by the Bell in the New Class.
I saw that. I kind of laughed when I saw that.
What?
I mean, what a change from who he is now.
And what's even crazier is Saved by the Bell, the New Class was in 1993, which means Saved by the Bell, the OG show, was before that. And I feel like I still watched it in the late 90s, early 2000s, like the original one. I never really got into the New Class. So that time. It's crazy.
We were looking at a study today at work about magnesium lab values. I know that's really totally off topic, but it was published in 1997. And I looked at my colleague and I said, you do realize that was 30 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh. Which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
I'm not miscalculating, right? It was 30 years ago.
It was 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. I am miscalculating. It's that brain injury math thing. Okay.
You need more magnesium.
I must. I must.
Oh, so the next thing that he was in was Beverly Hills 90210, which I was a huge fan of. He was just student actor.
Oh, okay. So he didn't have a big role in 90210, which I never watched. So,
but that just resonated with me because this week Luke Perry died,
and that resonated with me because I remember him from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie.
Right.
And loved him in that movie.
He has currently been in the show Riverdale.
Right.
Yes.
That was going to be in my Whisperer's Corner, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Super heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where he was too young. I mean, I guess a stroke can happen at any time, but
I got to stop you for just a second because you're exactly right. A stroke can happen at any time. So people who are listening, manage your high blood pressure, manage your high cholesterol, reduce your risk because he was 52, 53?
52, yeah.
And that is a terribly young age to die of a stroke. I mean, the stroke that we were talking about that Samantha Morton had when we were talking about her last week, that was because of a head injury. We don't really know what Luke Perry's was from, but I'm guessing it was probably high blood pressure or high cholesterol. I'm guessing it was probably something like that.
And it's so crazy because you look at somebody like that and he seemed like he was, a fit person all his life.
I bet he lived a pretty hard life. I bet he lived a fast life.
Yeah, probably. But manage your cholesterol and things like that. And it's you look at him and it's like he's got like 3% body fat,
Well, PSA brought to you by the Biters Crew. Just because you have a low BMI, a low body mass index, doesn't mean that those things can't be issues. So get checked out and manage it so you don't end up having an early death that can be avoided.
Right. And, I think I saw on Twitter, because my other half messaged me yesterday and was like, did you see Luke Perry died? And I'm like, no, he didn't. He had a stroke. He's in the hospital. He's fine. And sure enough, he had died. He had a stroke, I think, on Friday or Saturday. And it was Monday before he died. So who knows if there were any sort of complications or if he had another one or anything like that or what caused it to begin with.
Right.
So.
I'm just speculating. I'm just talking out loud about causes of stroke, but please, people, be aware and take care.
Take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally interrupted Beta and Ryan Hurst.
Well, I sidetracked us with Beverly Hills 90210 because for some reason that one really hit me hard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go back and you look, and I love to look at people's IMDb pictures from like their early stuff. Ryan Hurst is completely unrecognizable without his facial hair and long hair. It's like looking at his little brother, like 10 years younger little brother. It's so crazy. So he's had a couple of one-offs and things like Jag and Wings, LA Doctors. His big breakout movie, they say, is Saving Private Ryan, but I remember he was in The Postman and Patch Adams.
Oh, he was in Patch Adams?
He was in Patch Adams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a fun movie.
Neil.
Huh. I want to mention that he was in a movie called The Lady Killers. Have you seen that?
Okay, I have not seen it.
It's a Tom Hanks movie, and it's really funny.
Yes, and it's got way more people than Tom Hanks in it.
It definitely appeals to people with kind of an off-kilter sense of humor. So if you're looking for just funny haha and not off-kilter humor, it's probably not your thing. But if you like kind of weird period pieces, it's probably one worth watching.
So, and he had a pretty big role in it. I mean, he was like one of the main guys in it.
Mm-hmm.
An eccentric, if not charming, Southern professor and his crew pose as a classical ensemble in order to rob a casino, all under the nose of his unsuspecting but sharp old landlady. So, yeah, if you look at the IMDb photos, Tom Hanks looks like Colonel Sanders.
Yes, he totally. In fact, that was the visual image that I had while we were talking about it.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. So that was definitely one I had heard of Lady Killers, but I have never seen it. So now I probably will have to see it.
It's totally worth going back and watching.
He was in an episode of House, which I love. No. Oh, nope. I am wrong. He was in an episode of Law and Order.
Ah, good for him.
It was Law and Order SVU. He played Doug Lovelace.
He also apparently had a bit of an arc in Medium. He played the main character's brother.
Yes. God, Medium was, I feel like that was so long ago, but it really wasn't. It was closer than Saved by the Bell, the new class. He was on another TV series called Wanted. And so he really, really broke out in Sons of Anarchy. That's when people started to, really recognize him.
To really know who Ryan Hurst was as Ryan Hurst. Yeah.
Right. And so there's a scene when his character leaves the show. It's not a scene on the show. It was something that was, I don't know if it was posted to social media or if I saw it on like a TMZ or something, but they had like this ceremonial cutting of his hair.
Oh, that's so funny.
After he wrapped his last episode. And like, you have all these big dudes standing around in biker leather and they're crying. And it makes me cry. I absolutely loved that when it was a big ceremonious thing for them. And his character leaving the show was really huge for the show and really huge for him. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. So if you watch the show and when his character leaves the show, try and find his ceremonial hair cutting scene, because it's totally worth the minute and 30 seconds that it is. And
you said it's on YouTube?
It's probably on YouTube somewhere. I'm sure if you Google Ryan Hurst hair cutting, it'll probably come up somewhere. So he was also in Bates Motel as a character called Chick Hogan, who was a very off-kilter character, kind of like backwoodsy. And he kind of seems to choose those kind of odd roles because he was also in a show called Outsiders. Not The Outsiders, the movie with Patrick Swayze and Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. Outsiders. And Outsiders centers around some Ozark moonshiners. Struggle for power and control is set in the rugged and mysterious hills of the Appalachia. Outsiders tells the story of the Farrell clan, a family of outsiders that have been in these parts since anybody can remember, and they're moonshiners. So it's actually a really, really good show. I've watched the first season. I haven't watched the second season, and of course it ended. It was 2016 to 2017, but the first season was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And I loved his character. So when I heard that he was coming on The Walking Dead, of course, my first thought was, oh my God, Opie's coming to The Walking Dead. And then it was like, oh, I loved him in Outsiders. So, yeah, he's got a couple of things that are also coming up, so he's not hurting for work. He's in a TV series called, and I'm going to slaughter this, Bosch.
Oh, it's an Amazon property.
Okay.
BOSCH, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a Bosch is a detective, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was mispronouncing it.
No, you got it.
Okay. And then Paradise City, which is also a TV series, is in post-production. And so far he's in 3 episodes of that. So, yeah, Beta is not hurting for work.
I'm not surprised.
Right? So, let's see. I mentioned that his mask is comfortable. But so I have to laugh because we have 2 psychics on the show now. He had a premonition that he was going to be on The Walking Dead.
I read that. In fact, he contacted his agent and was like, tell them that I want to be on the show. And the agent was like, it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah. And they were like, no, we don't have anything for you. And then a couple years later, they had something for him. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan almost spoiled it because he and Jeffrey Dean Morgan have been friends for a really long time.
Oh, that's too funny.
And he kept getting texts from Jeffrey Dean Morgan going, dude, I'm so excited. I can't believe this. Blah, blah. And, Ryan Hurst is like, what are you talking about, man? And the Greg Nicotero had to be like, back off, dude. The deal's not done yet. And so Jeffrey Dean Morgan was like, oh, never mind.
Oh, never mind. I'm just on the biggest zombie show on television. And I keep telling you I'm really excited, but never mind.
Never mind. New phone. Who dis? So he kind of had a premonition and he sought it out. And I really think that the casting was spot on with this one.
Okay, but you've got me curious. Who is the other psychic person on The Walking Dead?
Rhett Butler.
Oh, right. I remember
she does
that
psychic
now.
reading.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So now we have two psychics on the show.
Well, I watched a little bit of his Comic-Con panel. I didn't watch the whole thing, I'll admit it, because it was 30 minutes and he was talking about a lot of stuff that I just haven't watched. But it opened with them saying, what can you tell us about The Walking Dead? And he said, pretty much nothing.
Right.
Because it was done this summer well before anything about Beta was really out.
Mm-hmm.
He did say that he learned to ride a motorcycle for Sons of Anarchy. He was not a motorcycle rider ahead of time.
Oh, that's so surprising.
Now he rides. Now he's got motorcycles of his own. But he basically said that his agent pitched it to him as, would you like to have a gig where you get paid to learn how to ride a motorcycle? And he was like, yeah, why not?
So I really hope now that he and Norman Reedus go on a ride together somewhere.
Oh, that would be really cool. If he's
awesome.
not on this season, hopefully he'll be on next season. Which, by the way, Austin Emilio was on this week, and I haven't watched it yet.
It was really good.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. There's an interaction with some fans, and they're absolutely adorable because they not only recognize Daryl Norman Reedus, but like the kid was able to be like, "Oh, Austin Emilio."
Oh, good for Austin.
And what's his facial hair was much shorter, and when he was wearing his like sunglasses and hat, I was like, I would probably pass him on the street going, I know that guy from somewhere. What do I know? I would not be like, oh my God, Austin Emilio. Yeah,
cool.
So it was really nice to see that kid, have that recognition and be such a fan of the show. And he was like 10 or something.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, another thing about Ryan Hurst, he's a dog trainer.
And he fosters dogs.
So of course we love him.
Yes, his Instagram is full of foster dogs and trying to find homes for these dogs. And I really, really took notice because he has a picture of one and it looks just like my dog Bandit.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Did you message him back on Instagram and say, you have to look at my dog?
No, I did not. The picture was kind of old, so I'm hoping that this dog did find its forever home, but it kind of looked super comfortable on his couch, so I think it's going to be okay. Yeah. So that took my heart right there. And he actually just posted a GoFundMe last month for a friend's dog who, this is super sad. His friend's dog was actually intentionally killed by the dog sitter.
Oh, death to the dog sitter.
Right. And like it killed in a really horrible way. You can go on his
I don't need to read that.
Well, you can go on his Twitter and find the GoFundMe. So I love his Twitter handle. It's at Rambo Donkey Kong. But of course, if you Google Ryan Hurst, you'll come up with his Twitter. But you can go on his Twitter and either like or share the GoFundMe or donate if you have the money.
What's the purpose of the money? To get a new dog for his friend or to get justice for his friend or
I think it's to cover the vet bills because the dog didn't die immediately, and they rushed the dog to the vet, and then they had a necropsy done so that they could prosecute the person. So
good. I hope that person spends a lot of time in jail.
It's one of the 3 things that makes you a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bedwetting, fire starting, and animal torture.
I have to tell you, total aside, I was staying with a friend this weekend because I was at a conference, and her dog ate a bunch of my meds. So we ended up with a 10 o'clock at night trip to the local vet clinic, and thank God he got a hold of stuff that was not going to hurt him.
Oh, good.
I know. I was like, oh my God. I was horrified and mortified, and I could also see draining my bank account to try to save my friend's dog. And thank God that did not happen. It was just the horrification, if that is such a word, and the mortification of admitting that he got into my suitcase because I left it down.
I was going to say, and probably on the other end, your friend was so mortified that their dog got in and ate all of your irreplaceable medication.
I think she was pretty freaked out.
I'm sure she was freaked out about her dog.
Well-being. Yeah.
But I would be so like, after the initial shock wore off and like my dog was fine, I'd be like, oh my God, my stupid dog got into your suitcase and ate like the one thing they should not eat out of your suitcase.
Well, fortunately, he could have gotten worse things. So, and he also ate my deodorant because he's an 8-month-old lab retriever cross, and he will eat anything.
They will eat anything. Yeah, seriously. If I give it to my lab, if I give her anything, she will put it in her she'll put it in her mouth. Like my husky, like he'll sniff it and be like, no. Like he won't even take treats from strangers. Isn't that weird? Like if you go through a drive-through and they give you a milk bone, he'll take it and then he'll just set it down in the back seat.
That's really funny. I'll be polite. I'll take it from you, but I don't really want it.
Yeah, it's the funniest thing. But no, the lab, you hand her anything and she's like, I'll try anything once, you know. You can feed her anything. It's terrible and great. We're totally digressing again. Anything else about Ryan Hurst? So I absolutely love what he had to say about, they asked him what he could say about his character Beta. And he said, my take on him is he's very close to Anton Chur from No Country for Old Men. Oh, so which I have not seen. It's the main character, and he was like super creepy, weird. Yeah. It's a really good movie. The character is really good. He said everyone in the Whisperers wears masks for different reasons, and I'm not going to reveal too much, but Beta especially is not playing with a full deck. He's playing with 6 full decks from 5 different games. The guy is sort of an impenetrable because he's not just playing by the same set of rules as anybody else. And more than a lot of characters on the show, like his sense of humanity is so completely and totally fractured that he lives underneath his mask. Ew, creepy. Yeah, so that's just a really chilling description of Beta. If you know nothing about Beta from the comic books, you know, that right there should tell you. I mean, just when you use the word fractured to describe somebody, that, I mean, right there, you're going off the reservation. So yeah, I loved what because you can't reveal anything about the show, but that struck a chord with me. So I really liked that. If you follow him on Twitter, again at Rambo Donkey Kong, I love that. He has some really cool little daily affirmations that he posts a lot. He reposts a lot of Walking Dead stuff or Comic-Con stuff, things like that. But he'll post things like, love is such a big word. It really should have more letters. Oh, that's totally something I wouldn't expect from him. Right? If you can walk on water, cool. If not, that's also cool. Then swim. But get there. And then my favorite, just sitting here thinking, would you lose weight if you ate your own foot?
Ew.
It's a thinker.
That was totally a beta moment.
Right? So sorry, ladies and gentlemen, he has been married since 2005. They've been together since 1994. He has a production company called Fast Shoes.
I think with his wife, right?
With his wife, yep. And he won the Satellite Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Miniseries or Television Film for his Opie on Sons of Anarchy in 2011. And he will be at the Motor City Comic Con on May 17th through the 19th. And you can get pictures with him or an autograph with Charlie Hunnam, Theo Rossi, Alana Masters, and Christian Serratos. Thank you. And Tom
Alana
Payne.
Masterson.
Yes.
Yeah.
What'd I say?
Alana Masters.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if you're in
Tom Payne.
Detroit, there's a Comic-Con you should go to.
Yeah, in May. And you can see Beta and Jesus and Tara.
Rosita.
Yep.
So one more thing I wanted to say about him from that Comic-Con panel. He said he actually likes working in TV more than he likes working in film, because he feels like with the way that shows are now going for like 5 to 10 years, you really have a chance to invest total creativity in one direction. So I thought that was really interesting, because I think a lot of people who are in long-running series like this get really fried on their characters, and he's really interested in investing that time in the character.
I was going to say that's very surprising, because, I mean, you know, that in the comic books, Andy Lincoln character Rick is still alive.
Mhm.
And on the show, it's like, look, I've been doing this for 10 years and I miss my family and I kind of want to pursue other things. And so that's really surprising that, you know, that, I mean, yeah, I guess it just kind of depends on your point of view. I'm kind of a serial monogamous with my jobs anyway, so I'll be like, oh my God, I've been here 10 years. It feels like 4 hours.
Or I've been here for 4 hours and it feels like 10 years.
That was today.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah. 10 a.m. I'm like, isn't it Friday at 4 yet? Yeah. So that is Ryan Hurst. I absolutely love his body of work. I love his body. I love his work. And if you are in Motor City, tell him hi from the Biters crew.
Yeah. Tell him to come on.
Yeah. I could talk Sam Crow all night.
Who the heck is Sam Crow?
Sam Crow is the Sons of Anarchy MC. It's an acronym for the Sons of Anarchy Motor Club.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You'll have to do the interview.
I'd have to like binge the rest of Bates Motel too, so I could talk about his character Chick.
I'll go back and I'll watch the movies.
I mean, a character Chick. That's just Chick. Like, that's just a cool name. All right.
So on to Whisperer's Corner.
Sure.
Well, we talked about Luke Perry, so I'm not going to belabor that.
Yeah.
So on The Talking Dead, Seth Gilliam said there are shocking deaths to come.
Yeah.
I can't believe he said that.
There was an interview that I saw with Ryan Hurst where he said the last episode of the season, you will be like, what?
I know.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to play out some stuff that they play out in the comic books.
I kind of had that feeling too,
Yeah.
and you're not going to like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
We've talked about, people leaving the show because of, not being able to come to a contract or wanting to pursue other things. We've talked about Michonne leaving the show. We've talked about
although she won't leave the show at the end of this season because she's slated to be in some episodes next season.
Yeah. And we've talked about Maggie and a few others, but I think the character that is leaving has not really been talked about.
I'm worried about Ezekiel. There's rumors about Ezekiel. We talked about Enid.
Yep.
I think there's some other stuff happening.
As long as it's not Dog.
If Dog dies, we riot.
We riot. Yep. Dog is the new Daryl.
So the other thing is, and Phil Parrish texted this to us, there is a third series, another spinoff in the works.
Yay!
So basically, we'll just podcast biters for the rest of our lives.
Right? I'm fine with that.
Like I said, I'm going to be coming into the podcast room with my walker.
And I'm a serial monogamist, so here we are. So, did you watch Whiskey Cavalier?
No, I can't believe I missed it. And I can't find any place to stream it.
All right. So,
did you?
I did.
And?
I didn't like it. But
really?
But it has potential. So, they did the whole formula of the male female protagonist and hero, and they did like the stereotypical formula for TV crime, funny, whatever, and I really hated it, but I can see where they're setting it up to go someplace that I'm going to be okay with. I'm going to like it. It'll probably be my like new Rizzoli and Isles, where the two main characters, play off each other in a funny way. And just about every episode ends with a happy story and a joke, so I think it's going to be okay. But I have to say, I don't understand the grand reviews because it didn't. Maybe it's because it was hyped too much, like even before it aired, like all the critics were like, "Bad news for The Walking Dead."
That's what you said last week.
Great.
Yeah.
And so maybe I was over expecting, but okay. So, and this is the feminist in me saying this, and I'm very, very sorry for those of you who do not identify with that, but like, the first two scenes of two semi-important female characters.
I have to stop you. I think you can watch the pilot online on ABC.
Okay.
If you go to abc.com. So it's totally in my wheelhouse. Yay! So I'm going to watch it.
The first two introductions to some main female characters in the show, they were both in tight red dresses, and I don't know why it just irked me. I was like, that's completely unnecessary, and I'm sure we'll move on from there. And Lauren Cohan's character, winds up, of course, being a strong female character and kind of making a stooge out of the guy and everything. And it was very formulaic in its precision of, this is how we're going to do this show. And this formula has worked for us before, and we'll get, 6 seasons out of this or whatever. It was very Bones, Rizzoli and Isles kind of formula. So, it is what it is, but I didn't love it, but I'm still going to watch, and I will probably like it better going on.
I'm going to at least watch the pilot. I said I was going to watch the pilot, and I just got too busy packing to go to the conference that I went to over the weekend.
Right.
And I totally forgot that I was going to watch the pilot.
Well, I was super excited to tell everyone that I really didn't like it.
Oh.
But no, I think I'm gonna like it going forward. I think it was maybe just overhyped, or I was over expecting, or maybe I was in the wrong frame of mind or something. And little things about it irked me. But I think going forward it'll be much better. And I do encourage people to watch it and make their own decisions and support Lauren Cohan's work. So,
very good.
Yeah. That was my Whispers Corner.
Well, I have more.
Go. Go right ahead.
It's going to be a long episode tonight. Buckle in. All right. Beta, Ryan Hurst helped with his costume design.
Yes.
And he said that there are little Easter eggs that resemble other characters, like hidden and worked into the costume design. And
right.
I have to say the thing that I noticed right away was the leather jacket and the red scarf.
Yeah. So the like I said, I've only watched a little bit of his character on Bates Motel. I think the red scarf is kind of a call out to his character there, and he kind of wears a vest.
Oh, I figured it was a call out to Negan. I figured the leather jacket and the red scarf were a call out to Negan, because the way the article made it sound was that it was a call out to other Walking Dead characters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking it was a call out to his other characters on that he's played, and I was like, well, his leather jacket on Sons of Anarchy wasn't duster like mid duster length, I guess.
And I think it's just more the look, the combination of the leather and the red scarf.
Yeah. And he also there's a vest underneath it.
Yeah, I mean there's more Easter eggs, but those were the two that I saw right away, or that I thought I saw right away.
Right. And I love his boots. So in the scene where he takes Henry's stick away from him, you get a good shot of his boots. And
we'll have to look at his boots. Are they Rick boots? Are they Daryl boots?
They're more Daryl than Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would actually even say they're more Michonne than anybody. They're very good, sturdy walker boots.
Huh.
They kind of do remind me of boots he would wear on Sons of Anarchy, so.
My other thing that I have for Whisperer's Corner is fans are threatening to jump ship if Daryl and Connie are shipped.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They're like, peace out, you were supposed to get with Carol. There's been a whole bunch of posts like that on social media.
I think we talked about it last time where I'm like, Daryl's just, we're both like, Daryl's asexual. Like, no, we're not shipping Daryl with anybody. It's just going to be a man and his dog and the wilderness.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to put anything past the producers. I'm not going to put anything past the writers. They could potentially do it, but I thought it was really interesting. And kind of, really, that's what you're jumping ship over?
Right?
And do we call them Donnie? Do we call them Coral? What do we call them? I think we should call them Coral.
Yeah. Although it'd be more like Carol, but that's just weird too.
But it's Coral.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? There is speculation at comicbook.com that AMC is actually setting Negan up to become the leader of Alexandria when Michonne exits.
I read this.
Can you imagine that? I can't quite imagine everybody going, okay, Negan's totally reformed and he's our leader now.
Yeah. Yeah, and with if you didn't watch The Talking Dead, they had a little tidbit that the books that he was reading in his cell were the same books that Michonne was doing the reading to do the charter
for constitutional law books.
Yeah. So I think they're going there because his character has taken such a departure from the books that I can see that happening. And there really is no one left. And, Judith does need a strong father figure in her life. Because, man, she can sass Michonne.
I just can't see everybody overlooking his brutality. But, he's going
to have to do something monumentally heroic. Which he does actually kind of do in the comic books.
Mm-hmm. Which we're not going to spoil, at least not yet. We'll spoil it after the fact. We'll compare it in Phil's Comic Corner.
But so he does do something kind of monumentally heroic in the books. But then he basically, takes his leave of the whole thing. So.
Well, Rick invites him to take his leave of the whole thing.
Yeah, but there's no Rick now. And there might not be any Michonne. And
right.
Yeah, so it's all convoluted now. It could go anywhere.
So the only other thing I have for Whisperer's Corner is that Fear the Walking Dead added a new series regular. So they have added an actress named Karen David. She's going to play a character named Grace. And her previous credits are Gallivant, Once Upon a Time, Legacies, and The Scorpion King 2.
Oh, Once Upon a Time. Who else is in that?
Right, once again. Well, we've got a bunch of Once Upon a Time crossovers.
Right. The one that jumps out at me is Sonequa Martin Green.
I had forgotten that.
Yeah. Super interesting.
So the Whisperer's Corner is full. And once again, we're talking about potential death in the Whisperer's Corner. We were hoping we weren't going to have to do that this week.
Yeah.
I guess it is The Walking Dead, so.
It is, and nobody lives forever.
Right.
But they're always there in the flashbacks.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was so good to see him last week.
Yep.
And I am looking forward to possibly more of that in a couple of episodes.
Maybe so.
All right. Are we ready to get into our goods, our bads, and our uglies?
God, yes. I think we've been going for like an hour. In fact, we have. We've been going for an hour and 5. So strap in. We're in the second half.
Okay. So my good, you had mentioned Connie and Daryl. And this is not an entirely original thought. Getting into a little viewer feedback, Victoria Morris kind of brought this one to the forefront of my mind. I originally did not like Connie going out with Daryl. And it's that thing in me that has that protectiveness, that she has a disability, that it just hinders her so much in this environment that I'm afraid for her. And I really like her, so I don't want her to die. But of course, who's going to protect her better than Daryl? And so I really
And she has also demonstrated that she's pretty capable.
She is. She did kind of give up at the end in the cornfield with the baby. Like she, right before Daryl popped out in front of her, she was just sort of resigned to her fate, but up until then, she totally managed her own. And who amongst us has not froze in the face of great danger? But I absolutely love the way the two of them turned the Whisperer's own tricks against them, and put on masks and led the herd in. I loved it. It was perfect.
It was quite conveniently timed.
It was, definitely.
But it was still a cool trick.
And like I said, getting into a little bit of your feedback, Victoria Morris mentioned that it would be cool if Daryl could learn sign language to communicate with her. And I can totally see that happening. I can see him being one of the first people to be taught to go to have sign language taught to him by either Connie or I keep wanting to say Angel Theory, which is her real name.
Kelly.
And because it's a silent way of communicating.
That's what I was thinking. It would come in handy as a tracker.
It would definitely be the advantage in this situation. So I can see him looking to them to learn sign language so that it makes him a better hunter, a better tracker, a better, person in the field. So that was my love, is I absolutely loved the Daryl and Connie play in this episode, and maybe what's to come of it.
I think we will continue to see them working together. I do think that this is not necessarily a more permanent relationship in terms of a romantic relationship, but probably a partnership that we're going to see again in terms of working together.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Daryl needs a new partner. Rick is dead. So he needs somebody to remind him that he's not feral Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Henry's not enough.
No. All right. What was your good?
So my good was actually the infighting in the Alexandria Council.
Ooh.
I really liked it. I liked the way that there was just this obvious division in the group. It was Sadiq and Gabe versus Michonne and Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it that they let slip that things are even worse at the kingdom than Ezekiel let on.
Yeah, if Carol has to ask for help a second time, you know that things are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Michonne blaming the radio for Jesus's death, for Rosita and Eugene getting injured, and basically saying, how can I do my job when you hide things from me?
I get her side of it, but they basically made the point that she's the not the enforcer, the
security person.
The security person. Yeah. And, like from her point of view, everything is a security issue.
She has total veto on everything.
Right. And it's there's a saying, when you're the hammer, everything becomes a nail.
Mm-hmm.
And she's getting that way. And both Negan and Judith called her out on it.
Well, and so did Sadiq. And I liked that Sadiq talked about what's the cost of Michonne's judgment.
Right. And, my other half and I talked about this. Sadiq could totally put the kibosh on her veto by saying, you know what? I'm your only doctor here. I don't like it here in Alexandria. I'm going to move to Hilltop. They need a doctor, especially if Enid dies, he could totally hold that over her head, and they could have a mini coup if enough important characters are like, peace out, Well,
and I liked the way they really talked about how her iron fist is basically hurting their relationships with the other communities, and that it is potentially costing their friends significantly.
Yeah. And, she's so concerned about Alexandria, keeping Alexandria safe and keeping their supplies and not reaching out. But what happens? I mean, we see this in the modern socio-political climate. What happens when another society or community or country or something collapses? You have refugees. Are you going to take in a whole bunch of people from Hilltop? Probably not, maybe, but not all of that. So then you make enemies, and there's just, and I'm not saying there's any good answer, but I think diplomacy is a good place to start.
I don't think Michonne has the right answer. I do side more with Sadiq and Gabriel.
I do too.
I never thought I would say that. But that was my good, just the infighting. I thought it was really realistic, and I thought it was really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like I said, I kind of see Michonne's side of it. And also, we haven't seen all of Michonne's side of it because, like Judith said, you've changed.
I would love to know what Judith meant by that.
Oh, we know what Judith meant by that. The scars. I'm sure Michonne, after Rick died and after whatever happened to her and Daryl, she changed.
And is she just more closed off? Is she less loving? Is she less fun?
I think so.
I memean, I would really like to get at the heart of what Judith was trying to say.
Yeah, I think that, it was the whole, she's become the iron-fisted hammer and everything around her is a nail. And, Judith's, not that I agree with like a 10-year-old having a relationship with basically a serial killer. This like uncle niece, like funny haha, bond where they like shoot at each other and trade quips. But, for Michonne, everyone is suspicious and everyone is a monster and nothing can ever be overcome or forgiven. We just have to trudge on.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's getting very complex in here.
It is, especially in Alexandria.
Yep. So my bad kind of relates to what we were just talking about. Is it's nothing super bad about the episode. There was no one thing about the episode. I am just getting sick of them dragging on this scars deal. Like, I need to know what happened. I needed to know what happened like 2 episodes ago. Like, I really hate that they have dragged this out so long, and we still are not going to get it next episode. It'll be the episode after that we get the Scars backstory, I'm assuming.
Do you think we're going to get the fair at this? I guess we're not, because we've got the big conflict between Beta and Daryl coming up.
Yeah, that's next episode.
Yeah.
That's been teased for next episode. I don't think so. I think we're gonna try and have the fair, and that's where we're gonna have the big altercation
where we have the season finale.
Right.
I think you're probably right, and that's in line with the comic books.
Because holy crap, there are way more whisperers than originally anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking several dozen. There are a few hundred. Yeah. Was not expecting that.
Yeah, it's a pretty big encampment.
Yeah. No wonder why they claimed such a big territory for themselves when they're encroaching on everybody else's territory. I don't know if they're growing or if they've moved in or both, but wow. Because they even had that bowl thing set up for Alpha. And they had like a little archway where they hung her mask, and they've got a definite permanent camp going. It seems like they had 2 camps.
But they said it wasn't permanent.
Yeah. It's not permanent in the way that you and I think are permanent, but it's definitely...
It's more structured than you thought it would be.
Yeah. They had some amenities that I wouldn't have expected.
That's a strong word. Amenities.
Well, she had basically one of those, when you have the little wash basin of water, like not a bedpan,
made out of a human skin.
Yeah.
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 But it still had also a wooden structure underneath of it where somebody had like bent some willow boughs,
she had a basin made out of human skin.
A basin. There we go. Yeah.
Delightful.
That's the secret word. There's always one word in episode I can't remember that somebody's probably screaming out there, and this time we got it. It's basin.
Woo!
So you don't have to message me, but you can message me about other stuff.
Totally message me about other stuff.
Yep.
So that was your bad?
That was my bad. I'm just sick of them drawing out this super secret thing that Daryl and Michonne went through. I'm ready to hear about it. I've been ready to hear about it.
Well, I had 3 bads.
Okay. That's unusual.
So my first was that at the very beginning, I had the hardest time making out what Lydia and Alpha were saying to each other.
Yes.
That was so frustrating. And I realized, and I watched it twice. The first time I didn't have the soundbar on. The second time I turned the soundbar up way high and was still having a hard time making out exactly what they were saying. And I realized that part of it is that we lose the visual cues that go along with speech when someone is in a mask, like the mask that Samantha Morton is in.
Yes.
So bad on the producers and the writers for not figuring out a way to compensate for that, because it was really hard to follow the dialogue.
I think I'm going to have to turn on my closed captioning. We accidentally turned it on Netflix, and it doesn't just turn it on for whatever show or movie you're watching. It'll turn it on for everything you watch on Netflix on all your platforms. So like if it's on your TV or on your phone or on your laptop, you have to go in and turn. I've never turned it back off because I'm like, okay, I kind of like the closed captioning thing.
Yeah, I have to figure out how to turn it on for when we're watching live, because it was really frustrating. I felt like I was missing important dialogue.
Yeah, definitely.
My other stuff, and this is going to disappoint you considering who our featured cast member was, but I felt like there was really not good development of Beta, and I felt like he was kind of a cardboard cutout in this episode. So I feel like in order to make me feel invested in Beta, they need to develop him better.
And I think that they will, because that's such an interesting relationship. Why is this, this woman who, I mean, she killed her husband, she killed that guy in the shelter, and she's no problem killing anybody else. Why does she entrust this guy? And why is this guy taking his cues from this little woman? Yeah,
because he's crazier than she is.
Right? There's this weird relationship going on with them. And, we saw there was a little glimmer of it when he was kind of questioning her about, you broke your own rules for her. And he said in one of his, interviews where Beta is not jealous. Jealous isn't the word, but he's very confused, and confused isn't the right word either. But there's something about how we don't use names. Why are you calling her Lydia? She doesn't call you mom. Why don't you call her child or something like that? We're Alpha, we're Beta. We have no names. Why are you calling her Lydia? So he has this weird relationship that's developing, still developing. And I think he's trying to drive a wedge between her and her daughter in order to be that surrogate for that situation. So there's something crazy going on there.
He's crazier than she is.
Yeah. He is a fractured personality.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is my last bad, and this is for Victoria Morris. Beheading that challenger was way too easy. I'm sorry. No. I'm not sure how you get through the vertebral column and the spinal cord with a garrote. Garrote?
I say garrote. So I don't know if that's right. That's the proper pronunciation, but I say garrote.
I mean, I think you have to have a lot more upper body strength and a lot more leverage than Alpha had.
Yes. So,
and even then, I'm not convinced that you could behead somebody just using that.
Right. So, one, it didn't appear that she had any handles, so those should have gone through her fingers before they went through the vertebrae.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting super technical at this point.
Sure, we are.
You either have to put a knee or a foot up to get enough strength, and even then, it is enormously difficult to actually fully behead somebody with a garrote. And if you don't trust me, it's actually sickeningly Googleable. It's out there, people.
And I'm sure it can be done, but I'm not convinced in this circumstance that she had the upper body strength and the leverage to do it.
No, I don't think so. And now I'm probably on like 6 watch lists because I
because you know that.
I Googled, can you decapitate someone with a garrote?
Nice.
So it was legitimate research, I swear, officer.
Mine was just sheer speculation based on my knowledge of anatomy.
Yeah, Victoria Morris was curious to see if you had any input on.
Oh, hell yeah, I did.
The ability to decapitate somebody with basically a piano wire.
Yes.
And the answer pretty much is it's possible, but not in the way that they showed on the screen. So that
was all of my bad.
It was just done for you viewing pleasure. You sickos.
It was just done so she could hand the head off lovingly to the guy before she stabbed him in the kidney.
That was the creepiest part. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can handle like her decapitating somebody, but like handing him her head like it's a newborn, I was just like, okay, that's messed up.
She was also very touchy-feely with Lydia. Did you see that? That she just like kept stroking her hair and like wouldn't keep her hands off of her. It was really creepy.
So my coworker was very mad at me yesterday because I actually had not watched on Sunday because I myself was a zombie. I was exhausted and I literally slept, got up, ate, slept again, got up, and went back to bed. So I had not watched when I went into work on Monday morning, and my coworker was really upset at me because she really wanted to talk about Alpha. And God, I forget where I was going with this.
Like how handsy she was with Lydia.
Oh, so I was like, she's like, I really hate Alpha, and poor Lydia and blah blah blah. And I was like, if you followed the books, there's way worse stuff that I don't think that they're gonna put in the show.
I don't think they are either. They
may allude to it or something like it, but I found it very, very interesting that in their beginning conversations, when you couldn't hear it and Alpha was questioning Lydia, she asked if Daryl had touched her.
I caught that. I did catch that. I didn't hear everything, and I wasn't sure if she was referring to Daryl or Henry.
Okay, I'm pretty sure she was referring to Daryl, and there's some very, very ooky, dark stuff in the comic books when it comes to Alpha and Lydia.
Yes.
So I would not be surprised if they touch on that in the show, but I'm okay with them not showing it or not full out saying it.
Yeah.
So, but there are definitely worse reasons to hate Alpha than decapitating people.
The way she treats Lydia, I mean, that's enough reason to hate her right there. And the fact that she abandoned that baby.
Okay, why was that not a thing? Like, the two people that challenged her were not the parents of that baby.
I kind of thought they were initially. That's the reason that I thought they were challenging initially.
I don't think so. I think that would have been mentioned.
No,
so
I think you're right.
Where is the mother of that baby, and why is she not backing those two up, you know? Or, like, just, like, wandering off with the herd and being like, I'm gonna go to Hilltop to check on my child, Like, yeah, all of those people are fractured personalities under their masks, as we all are. So that takes us into our uglies.
So tell me about your ugly.
So my ugly, and I know it's from the books. What's the point of this convoluted Sadiq, Rosita, Gabriel baby that Eugene wants to raise? like if you are trying to get somebody to watch the show and they're like, I don't watch zombie shows, this is a soap opera.
I think it's a setup for bigger tragedy.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm having an issue.
And I think, that we also are watching Eugene get totally tortured by the whole thing.
I know, it's so sad because, like, the more I see Eugene, the more, like, I'm taking a bigger shine to him, but I also think it's because, like, watching interviews with Josh, I'm just like, I really love Josh. Like, he's the greatest guy. He's a man I could settle down with. Not quite my celebrity cheat, but definitely, like, relationship material.
That is so funny.
But not Eugene.
Josh.
No, not Eugene.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would, like, how high my score on the chart would be. I think I'm too snarky for him. I think that's like a -12.
I don't know, but you do have the D&D cred, so that gained you some real points.
I speak geek fluently, but yeah. But I'm not a geek, so.
You're a total geek. You podcast about Marvel and The Walking Dead.
But I'm the outsider. Like Charlie's Kid asked me on one of the movie things, because I don't read the books. I Google the wiki. Because I don't read the books, Charlie's Kid was like, well, then why are you here? Like,
oh, that is so funny.
He was like, why are you here? And I was like, because I'm Joe Everyman. I'm the outsider that goes to the Marvel movies, not having read the comic books. I'm here for the Joe Everyman opinion. So there. But I just love that. He was like, so why are you here?
That is really funny.
I'm like, first of all, Mean Girls. Why are you so obsessed with me? They're super fun. Watch Capes and Lunatics YouTube channel. We are on there just having a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm swimming in a vat of wine.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I wish I could get a hold of one of those wine barrels. Because it would just be me and some suspenders and a wine barrel and a straw.
You have a few days.
The only barrels like that are here in town are actually from the gin distillery.
You could get creative.
Right?
All right. I'm going into my ugly.
All right.
So my ugly was a good ugly and a bad ugly. I took a page from your book, and it was Eugene. So he was totally self-sacrificing and did what he thought was the best for Rosita, which I thought was really sweet.
I know, which makes him relationship material.
I mean, he really recognizes that she loves Gabriel, and he really wants her to be happy. But
and what's funny is I'm like, and of course it's because age appropriate and young and attractive. I'm like, why isn't she with Sadiq? Why is she with Gabriel? You know, I can understand. I don't get her and Gabe's relationship, and
it was just a fling with Sadiq.
In the comic books, I don't understand her and Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's because in the comic books, there's that long relationship that developed with them when he was part of Abraham's army. So I think it was kind of a natural outgrowth of losing Abe.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I don't think we've seen a lot of her change, but like a few of the things that she said on the episode or has said on a couple of the episodes, just minor little things make me think that she's not the same person that was with Abe. She's not the same person that dated the, what's her name? Spencer, you know. I really think that there's been some character involvement there that we have not really been privy to. And it's been slow and very baby steps for her. So, yeah.
So my bad ugly also has to do with Rosita and Eugene.
Okay.
I thought it was a little controlling and a little patronizing for him to be like, okay, this is it. This is how you're going to get her back. And this is how you're going to make her happy and placate her. And I just thought, you know, on one hand, it was super sweet. On the other hand, it was a little creepy and controlling.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree. It came from a good place, but it's creepy, dudes. Yeah.
It's like Love Actually level of creepy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll never be able to watch that movie again, you know.
I ruined it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm not sorry at all. Like, I'm not. No.
All right. Onward to Rotting Potpourri.
I am head over hammer toes for you. I loved that.
Who said that?
Eugene.
Oh.
Yeah, when he was talking to Gabriel, he's like, you know, basically, I know that you know that I'm head over hammer toes for the girl.
I missed that completely.
That was almost my rating, but I was, yeah, I didn't know how to do 3.95 head over hammer toes. It didn't sound as good as pantalones.
Well, I want to know who Lydia's lying to. Is she lying to Alpha about Henry, or is she lying to Henry about her allegiances to the Whisperers?
I think she's lying to Alpha. I think she got a taste of the good life in Hilltop and was like, holy crap, we can actually live without living inside those stinky skins all the time. And getting our face slapped, and, you know, at any moment we could just be left behind. But on the other hand, that's your mom, and you've had a codependence on her for the past 10 years. She's kept you alive. Living in these skins is the only thing that you know. And I mean, how many people break the cycle of abuse on their own? So I think Henry's going to be that catalyst for her.
Well, and she needed the rescue from Daryl and Connie.
Yeah. Yep. So it'll be all out war because of the face that launched 1,000 somethings. Pantalones. It's like my favorite word now. Let's see. So for the like two people who listen to this who do not watch Talking Dead, Ron Funches was on The Walking Dead, or The Talking Dead, and they were talking about the scene where Judith is, Michonne and Judith are going back and forth about how Michonne found out that Judith has been having conversations with Negan and she doesn't want it to continue. And Judith is like, he listens to me. No, nobody ever does. And I'm like, BS, girl, you run that place. Whatever.
But it was all about that parenting conflict between Michonne and Judith. And again, the parallel to the parenting conflict between Alpha and Lydia.
Yep. I loved it when Michonne's like, he's a monster. And Judith's like, he's a human being. And Michonne's like, people don't change. And Judith's like, you changed. And Michonne's like, go to your room.
And she's really, Judith is really kind of throwing back in Michonne's face all of the stuff that Rick and Michonne were saying about Negan.
Absolutely.
He's a human being. He can change. He, you know, we have to keep him alive as an example.
He came back, he's not, why would he come back if he was that same person? And I just loved that Ron Funches was like, he's like, yeah, go to your room. That's what you say when you know your child has won the fight. You just don't want to admit it. And it's true. I mean, she won the fight. And that's between that and talking over the whole Carol wouldn't have asked twice and the kingdom's not doing as well. That's finally when Michonne was like, okay, we'll put it up to a vote again and I won't veto it. So, she and Alpha had very parallel storylines this episode where they both came up to a challenge to their power and they responded in two entirely different ways. Michonne acquiesced and Beta just killed her competition and not in a fair way. I mean, it sounded like they were legitimately challenging her to a fight for control. And all of a sudden Beta comes out, sticks a knife to the guy's throat, and she garrots the chick and then knifes the guy. I mean, it was not a fair fight. And so they both dealt with their conflict in two different ways. And I kind of think both of them are going to have it backfire.
Well, I really liked that you brought up the fact that Michonne kind of acquiesced. I think it took a lot of guts for her to come to the decision to say that if the council wants to revote sending a delegation to the fair, she won't veto it out of hand.
Yeah.
I think it took a lot of guts for her to make that decision.
Yeah. I mean, after everything that everyone, said to her about basically you kind of like, you spoil all our fun. She vetoes everything because everything's a security threat. Yeah, everything is a security threat. But we go back to last episode where we talked about at some point you have to live. You can't just survive. And so many people have been lobbying for this festival or whatever it is. And yeah, it's dangerous, but let us make that decision on whether or not it's worth to make the trip.
Well, it seems like the buy-in was pretty big and immediate when they showed people packing and getting ready for it.
Yeah. I think whatever happened between the communities, I think everyone's ready to start the trade routes again. I can't imagine. Did we talk about Oceanside last episode?
We talked a little bit about not having heard about them, and Shenandoah Grand Poobah pointed out on our Facebook page that in fact the kids who talked to Henry when he first came to Hilltop asked him about Oceanside. So there must be trade routes still open with Oceanside.
Okay. But probably not as much as necessary, because it just makes me think of all of the kind of homesteading and the museums. I did the Lewis and Clark Trail and went to the museum and everything, and it just makes me think of how, like, the Lewis and Clark expedition, one of the ways that they got salt, which is such a commodity in situations like these because it's used to preserve food. Oceanside would have an abundance of salt if they were rendering down the ocean water, and they would have fish and probably, I'm sure, other things that are useful in trade, and they've been completely left out of this season. And it'll
be interesting to see if they're represented at the fair.
Yeah. And so I really would love to see everyone together and just have a little inside Discovery Channel view of how all of these communities come back together and reestablish their good relationships. So let's see. Do you got anything else?
Let's see.
Lydia lost her pink shirt. I told you she would.
Oh yeah, she lost it pretty quickly too.
Yep. As soon as they got back to camp, she was in a drab blue color. Yep. I knew it. Could you imagine?
Oh, go ahead.
Can you imagine how vulnerable, because they walked her through with the herd without her skin. So she had to stick pretty close to the other whisperers in order to not be detected by the real walkers. But then they also just like put her in camp without a skin on her.
Mm-hmm.
And having grown up for the last 10 years wearing one of those, and now being in this pink shirt, and we sacrificed 2 hostages to get you back against our own rules. And she had to stick out like a sore thumb to everybody. And can you imagine how vulnerable she felt without her skin? Even if she doesn't like wearing it, it still means you're a member of the group, that you're a part of that. You don't stick out. There's nothing weird about you. That's their thing. And I kept seeing that vulnerability in her when it was like she was no longer with her own kind, and they knew it and she knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So
what did you think about Alpha's story about finding her in the closet when she was a little girl suffocating, and then when she was so no longer suffocating on the plastic, hitting her so she would never make that kind of mistake again?
You need counseling, probably some medication, and a few parenting classes.
I totally wrote down Alpha was broken before the apocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked the vast majority of my career for health and social services, and I spent more than 10 years in Office of Children's Services. And we don't just take your kids away. Like, we give you tools to utilize, we give you parenting classes and anger management classes and substance abuse classes. We don't always take your child out of your home. And, that should have happened a long time ago for Alpha. Before the apocalypse. I think that there was something broken in her before that happened, and it was probably cyclical. It probably happened to her in her childhood, and she's just carrying that mental illness forward. And, Lydia needs to be the one to break the cycle. And unfortunately in this show, breaking the cycle probably means killing your mom, but your mom, it can't be a member of any of the productive societies. It's not a good place to be for Lydia. And yeah.
Alpha's too broken. Alpha is more broken than any of the villains that we've seen so far, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I think more mental illness than the guy who kept heads in
than the
fish
governor.
tanks.
Yeah. The other thing I would say about Alpha is when she was talking with her challengers, she is right. I mean, because of going back for Lydia, they do know now more about the hilltop and more about kind of what they're up against. But the challenger was right too, in that they were talking to her about breaking her own rules.
Yeah, going back for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't read the books. I read the wiki, Cliff's Notes of the books. I really wonder, like, is this sort of their MO? Do they move into an area and kill or assimilate all of the people that's maybe in these smaller communities that are around? Because I think it sounds like they've ran into other smaller communities, but none with these vast walls and all the, crops and working forges and things like horses and things like that. So it kind of sounds like they've run into some smaller people. And Lydia seemed to be in shock that like there were ones running so well, and there were several of them, and that they were working and they worked out, and you actually can live this way. So is this a thing that the Whisperers do, is they move into an area and take it over and dismantle the current group?
I haven't really gotten a good sense of how they claim their territory or how they come across their territory. I get the feeling that they're migratory with the herds of walkers.
But you would think that they would be non-aggressive at that point, then,
That they would just be moving through.
Yeah. But Alpha made a really big deal about them being in her territory, and they seem to be very antagonistic to the groups at this point. So, yeah, I wonder if we could have done a live and let live and just waited for them to move on. But it kind of sounds like they're wanting some intel on Hilltop so that I don't know, maybe they can go and loot the area and move on, or they can go in and take over. Who knows?
And they are really territorial, and they have staked out territory. I do think that that's what that symbol that keeps recurring means.
Right. Right.
So are we on to Phil's Comic Corner?
I actually have a couple of things.
Okay.
Just really quickly. Dianne and I loathe skinny jeans. And finally, Rosita is feeling our pain.
Oh, please button, please button. Oh, please button.
Right? Because they make them for this way, but not around this way. You have to be skinny. And so she's going to need some maternity wear stat.
Yeah. Thank goodness Gabriel's got the peace offering.
Yes. Yes. The super stretchy waistband pantaloonies. I just love seeing little Gracie.
Oh, yeah. It was just a brief little moment, but it was great. Dad, Michonne's here.
It was one of those things where I look at Gracie and I look at Judith, and they're about the same age. I think Gracie
totally
maybe
different.
They are polar opposites.
Yeah, Gracie truly is a little girl.
It's like City Mouse and Country Mouse, Could you imagine, and it, not just, in their ability to take care of themselves or wield the katana, or Colt Python, or talk to monster, Judith is doing it all, and Gracie's probably just sitting home with her coloring book, and
so kudos to Erin for being able to raise a relatively normal child in the apocalypse.
I mean, I just think that they sit every morning and they do their times tables with pancakes with smiley faces,
So that kind of goes to the theme of parenting that we were talking about as well.
Right. Right. And two things on Father Gabe. They did blame him for leaving the door open.
Right. Michonne did, yes.
It was not his fault. I would love to put that on him, but like he said on Talking Dead, there was a big guard there with a whole bunch of keys.
Yeah.
I was not the last one out of that room. And that way back in season 8, episode 11, when Gabriel and Dr. something or other,
Dr.
he died.
Carson?
One of the Dr. Carsons, yes, came across that house that was all camouflaged and everything that had all the CB radios in it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew those were for a purpose. They weren't just going to stumble in on some rando house that had CB radios and leave those.
I had completely forgotten that.
Those were those CB radios that Michonne was
completely
freaking out about.
That.
And apparently they have not learned from the season 1 Fear the Walking Dead use of CB radios that nothing but trouble can come from them.
Alicia.
Right? So, yeah, those are just a few of the little tidbits I wanted to point out. So you have Phil's comic book corner.
I do, and I don't know how far you want me to go because it goes beyond kind of where we are. I might save some of it for future podcasts, but we are in volume 24, which is called Life and Death. And it opens at the hilltop with Maggie realizing that Carl is gone. So the parallel is that Henry is gone to look for Lydia.
Right.
Carl is actually intercepted by Alpha, not by Beta, like Henry was, and she is carrying her trademark shotgun when she intercepts him.
I like the way this was done better.
So we also see the storyline where Michonne actually leaves the group for a long period of time. She's actually gone for a long time. She's together with Ezekiel in the comics. Basically,
so weird.
Basically decides that she has this great life with Ezekiel that she doesn't deserve, and she goes out and she works on a fishing boat and is gone, just like up and disappears. And we see her coming back. And I think that that's kind of the parallel to Oceanside, because they talk about trading fish and they talk about packing things in salt and needing salt to be able to pack their catch.
Mm-hmm.
So that really plays into what you were talking about. We do see preparations to hold the fair, but in the comic books, Alexandria is holding the fair, not Hilltop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Kingdom.
Kingdom.
We actually see the Gregory storyline playing out in this volume, and this is actually the point in the comic book series where Maggie does decide to hang Gregory, and it happens.
Oh, I'm glad we got that over with. That's weird timing with where we're at now.
Right.
Yeah, no.
In terms of Carl, they do go out looking for Carl and no one is able to find him. He's not successfully tracked the way that Henry is in this episode.
Because there's no Daryl.
Right. So Maggie basically declares that Carl is on his own when he isn't found after a couple of days. And her whole thing is, he's Carl Grimes. He's got the skills to survive. He'll be fine.
Right.
So we see Carl walking with the Whisperers the way we see Henry walking with the Whisperers. We see a Whisperers camp that's somewhat similar, with structures in the woods and skins stretched out on frames, getting prepared for people to take their skins. The big difference, and they made this point in The Talking Dead as well, is that in the comic book there's fires.
Oh, like in the camps?
Yeah, they actually have campfires, and they don't have them in the camps in the series.
Yeah, I think the point was made on Talking Dead in one of their little, little tidbits that their diet consists of
raw meat.
Dried meat and mealworms and anything they can forage. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty good looking apple. They had to have stolen that out of Hilltop's orchard.
That was a pretty good looking apple.
Yeah, that's like they hit up a Kroger that still had some irradiated apples.
So we do get a glimpse of Negan in his cell with the door unlocked. And in the comic book issues, it's actually Olivia who is still alive who messes up and leaves the door unlocked. Negan actually stays in his cell. Rick finds him with the cell wide open, and Negan is basically like, this is proof that you can trust me.
No, this is proof that you're still manipulating me.
Right.
You're trying to. Yeah, no.
And he also taunts Rick quite a bit and says that Rick is just basically using him as proof to everyone else that Rick thinks he's the most civilized survivor in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I see it from both ends. I see that, Judith is probably being manipulated by someone who is a really good manipulator, but also, maybe he can change. Maybe he sees something better in, the communities than the one that he had. I don't know.
There's the speculation that he's getting set up to be the leader of Alexandria when Michonne exits, so...
I think it was really bad timing for me to start listening to a podcast called Ear Hustle. Yeah, it's a podcast that's based on it's made
of San Quentin.
San Quentin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you hear a lot of their stories, and it's like, I was a stupid kid at 18, and I murdered somebody, or I attempted. There's one where it was like an attempted robbery, and he got like 60 years for an attempted robbery.
There must have been a firearm involved.
I don't remember, but the current governor is on basically a pardoning spree, and people are getting pardoned left and right for stuff that was. It was one of those where it was like, had it been someone not a person of color, they probably would have got maybe 5 years with 4 years suspended on probation, And so this guy got 60 years. So he's been going on this pardon spree, and it's like not like pardon like you're out of prison and nobody. He has to serve the remainder of his 60 years on probation. So basically, the dude cannot jaywalk for the next like 37 years. So they still it's almost like being on parole. You serve your probation. So they're not out. And then they're expunging all of the marijuana convictions in California because they've legalized marijuana. And they actually developed a computer program that will go into their system and seek out the ones that are eligible for, because at first people were starting to have to self-apply to get those records expunged. And now they're just doing a whole cloth for everybody. And so I'm kind of on this kick where, I'm listening to these people that were in rough situations in their childhood and in their adolescence. And, nobody forces you to lead a life of crime, but there really weren't many upward mobility options for them anyway. So I don't know. People can change. Like, people on the Ear Hustle podcast have definitely changed and gone on to, lead productive lives in prison and outside. So
it's kind of hard to let go of the fact that he beat in Glenn and Abraham's heads with a baseball bat.
And that's the thing, is Michonne's like, you don't know what he's done. And Judith, she doesn't. She wasn't there to see it. She didn't witness it.
She's heard the stories, but it's not real.
It's not visceral for her. She didn't know Glenn. She didn't know Abe. And this guy has been listening to her, and he seems remorseful and wants to help and blah, blah. So, I get both sides, but the adult in me is like, no, he still needs to be locked up. Like, maybe we can teach him a useful skill to pass his time since we're buckling up his window.
So I want to take us through a couple more things in the comic book, and then I'm going to leave off until we get a little more to the story.
Sure.
Rosita announces her pregnancy to the community, and says it's Eugene's because, again, she and Eugene are together in the comic book.
Mhm.
And Eugene is completely overwhelmed by the whole thing.
So I wonder if they're going to follow that in the show, if they're going to say if it's Gabe's.
Right. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because, I mean...
Because Gabe
Rosita-
is really taking Eugene's story at this point.
Right. And I mean, by the looks of what the baby could come out as, it's going to be some pretty mocha colored baby anyway.
Oh, you went there.
I did. So, because she's got this pretty coffee with cream skin, and then you have chocolate brownness with Gabe, who's delicious even with his one eye, even though he's like creepy preacher dude. And then you have my man Sadiq, who is
the daddy, right?
Yeah,
good point.
He's like cafe latte cinnamon goodness. So I mean, there's this whole melting pot going on in there where the baby could come out any color, and they'd be like, sure.
Good point.
Yep.
All right. The only other thing I'm going to say is that Carl is eventually successfully tracked down with the Whisperers and refuses to leave Lydia. But I'm going to kind of leave the rest until we have more storyline.
Yeah.
So that is the end of Phil's Comic Book Corner for tonight.
Excellent. So what did you think about I was like, stop arguing with like Henry and Lydia and just take her, because like if nobody sees you running off, it can just be assumed that you were devoured or got separated and killed in some other way. Don't look for her. But of course, Alpha's still going to look for her daughter. But I just stop arguing about it and just go.
I think that the Whisperers are going to rapidly realize that Lydia has gone off with the Hilltop again.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure that Alpha and Beta are going to put it together that, oh, look, our hostage Henry is gone and Lydia is gone and somebody led walkers into our camp. I don't think any of this is coincidence. Yeah. So I think that's all that I had for the show.
Do we have any more feedback from Victoria Morris?
So yeah, we had some listener feedback from Victoria Morris, and I have to say that I did take a lot of my cues from what she said. I really liked what she had to say. She said, I really enjoyed the episode. Connie is fast becoming a new favorite character. Love her team up with Daryl, even if he doesn't want to. I also really appreciate that they demonstrate in one fell swoop the challenge of being deaf in the zombie apocalypse, as Connie took the baby through the maze, and the advantage in this situation, such as the silent communication with Luke, is brilliant. So yeah, I absolutely agree. That's why it was my good, and I love the thought of the silent communication.
I think she had a little bit more to say too, so I'm going to pull up my Facebook page because we got some new feedback today as well.
Okay.
And of course, I'm getting everywhere but biters when I get into Facebook. You know how that goes.
Right. Just watched Alpha is horrifying.
There
so
you go.
menacing. I'm quite looking forward to Dianne telling us whether you really can sever a head with a piece of wire through. I really enjoyed Connie and Daryl together. I want them to become a platonic dynamic duo in the future. I will love if he learns sign language and then they go out tracking together. I absolutely agree. Yes.
I think it'll be interesting to see how things develop. I'm not going to write off the possibility that the producers and the writers ship Daryl and Connie. I don't need it.
I feel like he's untouchable at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay with him not being shipped and just having really good platonic relationships with people.
I don't need it, but I'm not going to jump ship if they do it.
Oh no, definitely not. No.
That's definitely not a ship jumping offense.
No, that's not a game killer for me.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, if anybody, you could do worse. It's like we say in Alaska, the odds are good, but the goods are odd. So Connie seems pretty normal.
Yeah.
She's got a little bit of hearing impairment, but that can actually be to the advantage of Daryl, He's not much of a talker, and the hand signals could definitely come into use in the field. So I get it.
Yeah. I think it's not unreasonable. I still roll with the whole, I'm pretty sure Daryl is asexual, but it's not unreasonable. They could convince me.
No. Yeah. I mean, I'm really going to have to watch Scars to see what happened to him and Michonne to really make a definitive, is he even ready for a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And now I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And we have talked for 2 hours.
So I have one more listener feedback.
Okay. Oh, right.
It's not awesome. So apparently, one of my verbal tics when I'm tired or when I'm trying to fill space is awesome. I say awesome a lot because a lot of things are awesome.
I wasn't sure that the feedback wasn't about me because I say awesome a lot too.
No, it was specifically about me because everything about Angel Theory was awesome and she needs to become my super awesome friend.
So you can awesomely stalk her.
I have made it a point this episode to try and not say awesome until now, and I'm going to make up for it.
And we've done an awesome job sighing less.
I think so. I think I only counted like 2 or 3 between the two of us.
4.
There's another one. 4. I was just thinking I have about 1/5 of a bottle of the Imperial Pumpkin Porter from Alaskan Brewing left. So 9:00 at night. Good timing.
I need to upload this episode so Rob can get it posted. And I encourage everybody to watch or listen to us on Capes and Lunatics this weekend because it should be fun.
It should definitely be a laugh riot.
But obviously go see Captain Marvel first.
In theaters this weekend.
It opens on Friday.
All right.
I'm going to let you lead us off.
Okay. So until next week, everybody, have a safe week. And just remember, take it one dead day at a time.
Much better when you lead us off.
It's because I have the delay. I have to lead, otherwise I will step all over your toes.
It's okay, I can follow. All right, everybody.
I'm alpha, you're beta.
Oh, there we go. I don't have nearly that much facial hair. Although your hormones do change things as you get older. All right, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.